All right, I am here with Jordan Gavaris, who plays.
You got it right.
Yeah, after how many practice rounds that we did, who plays Felix on Orphan Black.
And on that note, something really weird just happened at the train station.
What?
I saw a girl kill herself.
Ew. A jumper?
Yeah, and she looked exactly like me, Felix.
What do you mean? Oh, you robbed her body?
No, she left a bag on a platform.
Isn't that essentially robbing her body?
Can you tell me a little bit more about the character and the show?
Yeah, the show is a very sort of conspiratorial, kaleidoscopic mystery about a woman who witnesses another woman's suicide on some train tracks, and this other woman happens to look a lot like her. So in the throes of panic and passion, in the throes of panic, she steals this woman's purse and assumes her identity. And as it turns out, this other woman is not just a lookalike or a twin, she's a clone.
Mm-hmm.
And I play Felix, and he is the foster brother to the leading character, Sarah. They were fostered together in the UK by a woman named Mrs. S, and they departed under somewhat mysterious circumstances. And he lives in a very colorful loft where he has more than one sugar daddy to fund his artistic endeavors.
You know, I feel like Felix on the show is everybody's best friend, or everybody wants to be Felix's best friend. So is that part of the character, or is that something you brought to it? Like, was he written to be the prototype best friend that everybody wants to have?
I don't think so, actually. I think he was kind of, Graham claims that he was sort of written to be the irreverent, sometimes voice of reason, but it turned, because of the dynamic between me and Tat and the dynamic between Felix and Sarah, he sort of turned into the fun, but well, I shouldn't say he's the funny best friend. There's a lot, there's a lot we don't know about Felix,
right?
And there's a lot more to him than the funny hair and the makeup and the clothing. There is a human being underneath it all, which we get to see glimpses of as the show moves forward.
So he's not just like a cooler, younger, like Will from Will and Grace.
He is. Would he be Will or Jack? Actually, neither. He's so badass. He's too cool for something like that. He's and that's the other thing too, is that there. Sometimes people say, what's it like playing a gay character? What's it like playing this, like someone like this? And I'm always like, someone like what? He's not just a gay character, and I never approached him that way. Mm-hmm. He was a character, very multidimensional, multifaceted, just like any other human being. And this was just a tiny little part of him. The flamboyant side of him actually comes from the artistry, the idea of drama, his flair for dramatics and theatrics. That's sort of where it all comes from. Him not taking anything seriously is just sort of a defense mechanism.
I do think he's a little bit of a controversial character.
Oh, yeah.
And so were you comfortable with that? Like,
totally.
Was that something you had to, like, prepare for?
No,
like, oh, wait,
no.
I might be naked in this scene.
I mean, it was something that I gave thought to for about a half a second, but because the script was so good, and the character's moral ambiguity is actually one thing that sort of drew both Tat and I to the characters, that they're sexually ambiguous, they're morally ambiguous. Are they a good guy? Are they a bad guy? You don't really know. They're sort of just people, and they're sort of just surviving in this very tumultuous environment. And that was the survivalist element of the story was what I really found attractive, and that's what I really wanted to play with. The nudity, we're so emotionally stripped down already. The nudity was just sort of a way to physicalize that feeling, and you think this is the character's life. It's honest. He would be nude in his own apartment. He'd be nude while he paints. He'd be nude while he does.
Would you be nude while you painted?
Absolutely, 100%. I'm nude right now. You just
right,
this is an illusion.
The sibling relationship
Yeah.
between you and Tatiana on the show, is that something we're going to see more of with like Mrs. S, and is that going to be a storyline that's really developed more over later episodes?
Absolutely. That's actually probably, I compare it to a root in the series. That is it's one of the things that roots the series in realism, are the actual relationships between those characters. And we see a lot more of Mrs. S. We see a lot more we explore where they've come from, why they've moved, what it means to them, what it did to them, and that's to me that was the most fun to explore from an actor's perspective, and from an audience perspective. I hope that that's something that I really like seeing more than. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
More than just the theatrics and the clones.
Why should people watch Orphan Black?
That's a loaded question. They should probably watch it. As I've said before, we have revealed the gimmick. It's a clone show. Everybody knows that. There's clones. Tat plays clones. We've met all these characters. We know so much about the first episode, and you think to yourself, wow, under normal circumstances, another show would take probably the entire first season to divulge all this information. So the fact that we're revealing all of this now in the first episode can only go up from here.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.